Welcome to Shriram IAS. Myself Shankri Shiva Ignatius. So we are here connected to a live session for it's a rapid revision series which I am going to launch for environment. So first, initially, what we will do, we will start with basic concepts which you have to learn related to environment, and then we will go step by step. Okay. So in this first, what I'm going to do, first I'm going to introduce ecosystem to you. Okay, so you can see here, first you should know what is meant by ecosystem. Okay, this will be a bit faster, but I'll maintain the pace. So ecosystem means, you already know a lot of definition for ecosystem. Ecosystem is a dynamic interacting environment, okay, where the animals, the organisms which are present in the community interact with its environment continuously, right? That is called ecosystem. And in this ecosystem, the main part in environment from where the questions are focused in UPSC are related to, energy flows. Energy flow, how energy is flowing in an ecosystem. We already told that ecosystem is a dynamic environment. So if it is a dynamic environment, okay, then there should be an interaction between the organisms, and this will lead to energy flow. When an organism is interacting among themselves and when it is interacting with its environment, there is a flow of energy. So what are the things which you will be learning under energy flow? In that, first, starting from interactions among the organisms, how and all an organism is going to interact among themselves, that is important topic. Okay, secondary, you will be seeing about the how properly energy flows through food chain, food web, right? All these concepts I will be explaining. Food web, and then nutrient cycles, all this we will be seeing now. Then third, we will be seeing about the adaptation mechanisms undertaken by various organisms, adaptations. Okay, finally, succession and productivity. This way we will be seeing either the order may get changed, but succession plus productivity. These are some of the important concepts. Very frequently, UPSC post questions from these sections. Okay, so this is how we are also going to revise the chapters. It's like a revision only, right? Right, now we'll go see, we'll start from interactions, how an organism is going to interact with one another. For that, you have to know about three kind of interactions. Okay, interactions is of three kind. One is positive interactions, okay, another is negative, and another one is neutral. Third one is neutral. We all know this. So under positive interactions, there are n number of positive interactions between organisms, but what is important only I will be discussing here. In that first positive interaction, is mutualism. We are going to see about mutualism. And another positive interaction is proto-cooperation, but we will be discussing about mutualism in an elaborate manner. So if you want to know every topic in an elaborate way, then you have to watch the foundation courses. So come to this mutualism concept. Okay, for that, what is mutualism? Mutualism means when two organisms, let us consider like that, there are two organisms, both the organisms are going to get benefit from one another. Okay, there will be exchange of benefit between two organisms, and if both are separated, so one will not able to sustain the life, one will not able to survive in the environment. So that is called mutualism. So under mutualism, you see, first I like to bring pollination. Pollination is also a mutualism only between organisms. In pollination, what happens? Plants and animals associate. That's an example of pollination. You can see here itself, there is a flower. In the flower, there is nectar. This butterfly need a nectar and the flower need to spread its pollens. So they will mutually exchange each other. Okay, so he takes the nectar from the flower. Flower will spread its pollen to the insects, and insects will carry the pollen grains to faraway places. So plants and animals associate. It's a symbolic, symbiotic association. We can say symbiosis, mutualism, give and take. So what again, you should know what are those animals in certain places only these are required. What are those animals which will help in pollination? For that, we know there are a list of animals like starting from ants, you can take wasp. Okay, wasp no, especially fig trees and all is dependent on wax. Then bees, bumblebees, bees. Okay, then butterflies, moth. Not only butterflies, moth is also helpful. Then you can also consider some birds. Birds also helps in pollination, like hummingbird. You take. Okay, these are some examples I can give for this pollination. And apart from this, small mammals are also helpful in pollination. Small mammals, okay, like bats. You can take bats, and again we can also consider the opossum. It's a kind of a small monkeys and all. Okay, so this way it's a primate. So this way you should know that mutualism. First example I can give is pollination. Okay, then we'll go to the next example for mutualism. You can see here, this is lichen. I hope many of you would have seen this when you are going to damp areas, when you are going to tours, you are visiting the hilly areas, rainforest especially. You can see these types of organisms living everywhere. You will find them, lichens. Lichens is not a single organism. It's a combination of fungi and algae. Otherwise, it's also blue-green algae. Either algae or it will be a blue-green algae. So what happened? Here again, I already told you mutualism, that they will exchange. Fungi, what they will do? They will absorb moisture from the environment. They will absorb minerals from the environment. Even they provide the and through the waste, the metabolic waste. Algae will prepare the food. Algae are photosynthetic in nature, so they prepare the food, they exchange each other. So lichens is an example of mutualism, again we can say. Then you can come back, the next example you can see here. This, have you see sorry, do you notice this, the nodules type? This is infection created by rhizobium. So rhizobium is one such association, okay, where you will be seeing that the bacteria, the soil bacteria. So here the bacteria enters into association with plants, especially legumes. The rhizobium will also associate with leguminous plants. Okay, we call this as leguminous plants. So what happens? Here they will go and infect the root, and the root they will form nodules. And here they will try to fix, the bacteria will fix atmospheric nitrogen for the legumes. Okay, because plants cannot take atmospheric nitrogen as such. They need it in the form of nitrates. In the form of nitrates only they can take it. So this bacteria helps in fixing the atmospheric nitrogen to nitrates for the legumes. Legumes in turn will produce food. They will exchange food with the bacteria. Okay, so this is another symbiotic association. See why we are revising all these examples. Also from this only questions are asked in UPSC. That's why I'm giving special attention to that. And in case here you can notice that there is something, a term called legumes. If it comes, then you should know what are those plants which can be a legume. All varieties of peas, all varieties of beans, fava beans, cowpea, pigeon pea, like this we have alfalfa, lot varieties of peas and beans. You can type it and see, even in UN, in the millet page, they will have all these peas and beans. Please learn the names of peas and beans. Then you can also add vetches. Vetches is also are also legumes only. And then comes clovers, which we use, no, clover. All these are legumes only. And when you are studying this particular part, you should also be knowing that what are the benefit of having legumes. Legumes help in soil, increasing soil fertility. Okay, this way only you have to learn your subject, soil fertility. Why? Here rhizobium bacteria is there, so it acts as a biofertilizer for the soil. Okay, then It reduces soil erosion. Huh? It reduces soil erosion. It increases the soil stability. Okay. Apart from this, it also help to retain the soil moisture. Okay. Not only this, it is also acting as a food for humans and fodder for animals. Okay. Right. This like this, we are having lot of benefits based on legumes, right? So then we'll move to the next association. You can see here. This is next association. We call this as antinorizal. Okay. It's also a symbiotic association only. It's a symbiotic association between the plants of higher plants. They are legumes, no, here plants, and the soil again bacteria only, but it is frankia. Okay, so be careful. Antinorizal is again an association between bacteria and plants, but here the bacteria is frankia, there the bacteria is rhizobium. So here they will go again. You can see this infections which is caused in the root nodules. So again here the frankia will help in fixing atmospheric nitrogen for the plants. Plants in turn will provide food to the frankia bacteria. Okay. So examples you can say like casuarina tree and all will have this person, that frankia will be there in the root nodules of casuarina tree. Then you can go to the next association. You can see this mycorrhizae. Okay, this is another association. Where you can say that that fungi plus plants get associate here. So it's a plant nearby the plant root. This fungi will be living around the plant roots. You can find them. So what happens? This fungi will not fix atmospheric nitrogen, but in turn they will absorb water and nutrients for the plants. Okay, it will help in absorbing water and nutrients, moistures and all. And plants will give exchange food with them. Okay, they will give food. They will give water and nutrients to the plants. So in this way, they are living together. For example, you can take large trees and all. When you are, going near a large tree, digging the mud, you will find, the fungi, mycorrhizas. So like truffles, you will get truffles, very tasty mushrooms. Then same way oak tree, if you go near the oak tree, you will find bolets. This is also a fungi only. Okay. So this way, these are some examples I can say for this association mycorrhizae. It was asked in UPSC around 10 years back and all. Again, there is possibility for asking it again. So you should be careful while reading this association. Then comes zooxanthellae. This is another association, a positive association. Okay, and it's a mutualism where you can see the here the protist. No, already we have discussed in our classes and all. If you have watched my previous classes, you will know there are 5 kingdom. So in the kingdom, first I already told bacteria is a separate kingdom, that is Monera. Then comes a kingdom called this fungi is a separate kingdom, and the third kingdom is protist. So protist, all the protists will come under one kingdom. Then comes plantae, all the plants will be under one kingdom. Then animal, last kingdom, animalia. So like this, there are 5 kingdom. Protist is a separate kingdom, no? So what happens? This protist, especially the dinoflagellate, okay, will live inside the tissues of cnidarian. Okay, cnidarian. Cnidarian is an animal. Coral polyp, we say, polyps, like this, all this will be coming under cnidarians. So they are animals. So animals and the protist come into association. Here, the dinoflagellate is autotrophic in nature. They will prepare the food. The animals will give place for them to stay. That is why you can see here the corals are of different colors, pink, blue, green. Why? Because of this dinoflagellate only. They provide color to the corals, and they will also provide food to the corals. Corals will provide the metabolic waste and a place to stay. This is a mutual association between them. So here a protist and an animal enters into an association. And you can see this is another Protist animal association. We have already said, no, same way this is another Protist and animal association. How you can see this is a termite. You would have definitely seen this. They used to eat wood, okay, but what happened, they eat wood, they don't have proper digestion mechanism to digest wood, okay. So what happens, they try to form association with Protist, the protozoa, which is living in the intestine of this animal termite. And what they will do, they will try to digest the wood which is consumed by this animal. This way there is an association between Protist and an animal. So all which we have seen is only for mutualism. Mutualism is a very important topic in case of interaction among organisms. So we have completed mutualism. And as I said, when you are going, I told you that in mutualism, we will be seeing, sorry, in positive interaction, we will be seeing again proto-cooperation, but need not explain here in this classes. If you see the interaction class, you will definitely get an idea about it. But I will tell briefly, proto-cooperation means here again, two organisms, benefit from each other, but it is not mandatory association. In mutualism, it is mandatory, but in proto-cooperation, it is not mandatory. They can live alone and survive alone, but if they come together, they get more benefit. Okay, like a memorandum of understanding we are going on. No, so they can do their duty alone, but they come together, then the strength increases. So then comes negative interactions. In negative interaction, here this topic is not much important, but anyhow, we will discuss three important topics under this. One is predation. Okay, another is parasitism, and another is competition. Just I'm going to define this, that's it for you. Huh? So in predation, if you see, the animal, that is one who is going to eat the other one. So this is negative. One is benefited, another is harmed. If there are two species, one is benefited, other is harmed. So in predation, the one which is getting benefit will be bigger in sizes than the one which is going to get affected. For example, you take a wolf or fox going to eat a rabbit. Here rabbit is the prey. Fox is the predator. Fox will be bigger in size. Rabbit is smaller in size. This is predation. Okay, so parasitism is something like where the parasite, which is going to live along with the host, will be very smaller in size. Okay, that is the difference between predation and parasitism. But the host, the one who is going to supply the food to the parasite, will be bigger in size. For example, lice, no, which is living in the head of humans. It's a parasite only, sucking the blood of us, living along with us, but it is very small comparatively to us. That is parasite. Come to competition. Competition means two species fighting for limited resources. Like starting from light, water, anything, food, they are going to fight with one another. That is competition. Okay, so here what they will do, either both will get harm or one will be killed by the other. Okay, so this way competition is also a negative interaction only. Then come to neutral interaction. In this, one topic is very important, which we will be elaborately seeing, that is commensalism. Commensalism. Okay, then there is another called as amensalism. Okay, and the last one is yes, neutralism. Okay, this way we will be seeing three topics. This come to commensalism. This is another important topic from where frequently questions are coming in this section. So what is commensalism? You can see here, see this commensalism. Okay, where one will be benefited, two organisms are there, one is benefited, other remains unaffected, other will not get anything, no benefit, no harm, nothing. So that is called commensalism. For example, you take lianas or lianas, anyway you can say. So these are vascular plants. That means they have roots. Okay, what they will do, they will be in the, they will root their so they will park their root in the soil. Okay, but they are not erect, they are not straight, they are very lean, and they want the support of other plants. For example, you can see this, like this, it is going like this. This is something called as monkey ladder. We call this as monkey ladder. What happens, this tree cannot stand straight without the support of other trees. So they will seek the support of other trees. So this tree is getting benefit, but the other tree is not getting any benefit from this tree. But they are not a parasite. They do not take or steal food from the other tree. They only go to the other tree for support. This is lianas. Same way in commensalism, there is another group called as epiphytes. Epiphytes is another group inside epiphytes. We will see this is a very important topic. Okay, epiphytes. In epiphytes, you see, and in liana they are in the soil, they have root, they will park their root inside the soil like other plant, but for erectness they will seek support. But in epiphytes they do not have proper root or vascular tissues. So what they do, they try to perch on the other trees or substratum. They will live over other things only. They perch on trees or other substratums like wood, walls. Somewhere you will find this epiphytes. So when you are studying epiphytes, you should know what are those examples of epiphytes. Also, you have to know, like orchids is an epiphyte only. Okay. Then you take this mosses, ferns, okay, cactus, all these are epiphytes only. They can live over other plants or other trees. See, again, they do not steal food from the tree. What they do, they try to take moisture, nutrients from the air, and the decomposed part of the tree they will utilize for preparing the food. Okay, in this way, they are trying to seek the support of other trees for their support only. So these are also called epiphytes. Huh? Then see this is another examples for commensalism. As this is a turtle. Back of the turtle, this algae will grow. This is Basicladia algae. They will grow back of the turtle. One time UPSC asked this as a question. That is, a cattle while it is grazing, there are few birds you would have watched when you go to a countryside and all. Oftenly you can see a cattle grazing in the field and a lot of birds sitting nearby. So this is called cattle egret. Okay, this bird, no, he is called cattle egret, and this is cattle. They are grazing. Okay, it always found near the cattle because whenever the cattle walks, the flies, no, insects will fly. So it will catch and eat the insect. Cattle egret. Same way, mynas also you can see near that the cattle, grazing cattle. So this is Basicladia, which is lives below behind the back of tortoise. Again, this is an example of commensalism only because this tortoise is not getting any benefit, but Basicladia get access to sunlight. Same way you can see this. This is sloth bear. We call them as sloth. No, I hope you definitely seen them. Sloth bear. So in their hair, you can see the hair is not green in color initially, but this is because of presence of trichophilus. No need to remember the name, but it's again an algae, a green algae which lives in the hair of sloth bear. Okay, so in this way they are getting access to sunlight. So these all are examples of commensalism only. So the rest remaining is nothing but amensalism. Amensalism means where one is harmed, but other remains unaffected. Okay, so one is unaffected, one species is unaffected, other is getting harmed. Lot of examples are also there for that. Some organisms will secrete some enzyme, some plants will secrete some enzyme. So what happens, this will go and contact the other will get affected due to it, but the other one will remain unaffected. Okay, same way the last one, commensalism, amensalism, neutralism. No one is going to get harmed. We all are living in one world, everyone is there, we are not harming each other. I doesn't say for everyone, someone does it, but like same way in our own body we have lot of microorganisms living inside. Each one is living in our body without harming each other. Okay, some cases some will harm, but some will not harm each other. So they live in the same environment. That is neutralism. Example for neutralism. Right, say this way, like we have completed the interactions, the first part. Now we are going to move the second important part, that is you know the energy flow. Before going into energy flow, you have to know about certain concepts. Okay, inside the energy flow, before entering into food chain, food web, anything, you have to know certain concepts. In that first one, what are called as producers. Okay, producers, primary producers or producers, or you can also say by different name called as autotrophs. Very frequently questions are coming from this topic. So that means the organisms, what are called producers or autotrophs or primary producers, the organisms which produce their own food, make their own food. Okay, either with the help of sunlight, they will take sunlight and then they will prepare their own food because there is a pigment called chlorophyll which is present on the plants. They are called photoautotrophs. Okay, photoautotrophs, and are with the help of chemical, by chemical synthesis they are preparing their own food. So these are called as chemoautotrophs. In this way we can differentiate them, but all are called autotrophs. So here you have to learn the examples. What are those organisms which can be a producer? To say, then I can say the organisms like, we all know plants are biggest producers. Not only plants, you take algae, especially in the marine environment, algae are otherwise phytoplanktons. We call them phytoplanktons. Along with the algae, the protist will also come. What are those diatoms? Okay, these are protist. Dinoflagellate, flagellates. These are a different kingdom, not plant kingdom. They are protists. Algae comes under plant kingdom only. So plant, algae, diatoms, dinoflagellates. This algae, diatoms, dinoflagellates are totally called as phytoplanktons. Okay, along with plants. Even bacteria, blue-green algae and all is there. No, cyanobacteria. Bacteria can be a producer. Okay, so in this way we can say except animals, all these can act as a producers. Okay, in the environment. Then comes the next topic, that is heterotrophs. How you saw autotrophs, same way you have to know there is another term called as heterotrophs. Okay, heterotrophs. But heterotrophs means these are the people who cannot produce their own food. Okay, they cannot make their own food. What they will do, they will go and depend on other organisms for the food. Okay, so we call them as heterotrophs. Right. So this heterotrophs, you can see, can be of herbivores. They can be called herbivore. Herbivores are the animals, are the organisms which feed on plants only. Okay, they will eat plants. They will eat parts of plants or plants. Some will only eat fruits, frugivores we call them. Some will eat grasses and the seeds of grasses, graminivores we say. So that way the differentiation goes on, but that much is not required for us. But all these things will only, some even take the sap of the plant. Okay, they will drink the sap, juices. Okay, so this way we have a different kind of organisms which are only depending on plant as their food. So they are called as herbivores. Herbivores, and you see this herbivores does not only live in land. It doesn't mean all those organisms which are living in the water are eating other organism. It does not mean like that. So, like land animals, the one who is eating the grasses, we also have organisms inside marine environment which also feeds on phytoplanktons. Not we can say plants, we can call them as phytoplanktons. So, like for example, you can take marine mammal. One marine mammal which is in endangered situation is dugong. No, you can take that as an example. Even manatees, dugong. This is very important species. This is sea cow. We call them a sea cow. So the dugong will feed only on the sea grasses if you see them. So they are herbivores. Okay. Then even marine animal, right? Marine animals are also herbivores in nature. Like example, some fishes. You take parrotfish. They eat only phytoplanktons. They don't feed on zooplankton. They eat only phytoplanktons. Okay, same way we can also say that some marine reptiles are also herbivores in nature. Reptiles like you see the green sea turtles. Okay, they feed only on grasses. Same way, in land also we have insects which feeds only on plants. Okay, and some mammals which feeds only on plants, reptiles and all. So they eat, like as example, tortoise and turtles which only feed on plants. Okay, so like this lichens, they will eat all these things only. So they are called as herbivores. And second thing in heterotrophs, if you see, are carnivores. Carnivores are the organisms which eat the flesh of other organisms. They will eat flesh. Okay, of other, they will not eat plants. Eat flesh of other organisms. They are called carnivores. Here, next we will go, not to discuss now. When you are going to food chain, I'll explain there. Then the next one is omnivores. Omnivores, these are the terms which you have to know. That's why I'm explaining. Omnivores means they eat both plants, animals. They eat plants, animals, and fungi. Okay, they feed on all. That are called omnivores. There are a lot of organisms which are omnivores. Even humans, we ourselves are omnivores. Crow is a omnivore. So they feed on, they eat everything. Okay, so that is a omnivore. Then next term is detritivores. Here you have to be very careful while you are reading. Detritivores. What are called detritivores? Detritivores means they feed on dead detritus. Detritus we can commonly call this as detritus. That means dead organic matter. Dead organic matter along with feces. Fecal matter, no, feces. So they are called as detritus. When you come to learn this term, you should be very careful with the examples. What and all can be a detrivore? You can see here in our slide. See this. These are some examples of detritivores. And there are much more examples. You take land. This is millipede. No. We call them as millipede. Okay. This is millipedes. And it is example of a detritivore. Same way mollusks. Mollusks, these all comes under mollusks like snail. Snail is a mollusks. And they feed on detritus matters. And this is woodlouse. Okay, woodlouse or wood lice we say. So they also feed on they are also a detritivore only. They feed on dead organics matters. These are all living in land. Same way, not only this earthworm you take, okay, so which feeds on dead, okay, organic matters. Come to the marine environment. You can see sea stars. These are sea stars. Okay, they feed on detritus. Then this is sea cucumber. Here examples are important. Sea cucumber and sea urchins are not here, but sea urchins are also detritus only. Sea urchins, crabs. Okay, then lobsters. Lobsters. These are some examples we can give. Okay. Sometimes corals also. All these animals eat on dead organic matter which is floating in the sea. Okay, so next term which you have to know is decomposers. Now you have to know what is decomposer. So decomposer means they are true otherwise call this as decomposers as saprophyte. Saprophytes. I can otherwise say them as saprophytes. So they are called true decomposers. Unlike detritivores, what they will do, they will use extracellular digestion. Extracellular digestion. That means what? That means what? Like instead of what we will do, we will eat food. Okay, then inside it goes into our body and it gets digested. But what these people will do, they will secrete some enzymes. The food will be outside, the dead matter. So it will digest outside and then it will engulf the nutrients. So this is something called as extracellular digestion. So they are called as saprophytes. Okay, and that this is called as saprotrophic feeding. Saprotrophic extracellular digestion is something called a saprotrophic feeding. Again, here examples are very important. Already twice you have seen these questions appeared in UPSC. So directly also they have asked what are the following are decomposers. If you want to say in the decomposers, then you can add these people like the two decomposers. No, so fungi. Okay, fungi, right? Then bacteria, And some protists are also decomposers. So we all know fungi and bacteria only, but protists are also a decomposer. Protists like slime mold, you can write this example also, slime molds, okay, and water molds. All these are some examples for protists which are acting as decomposers. The next important term is scavenger. With that, we'll be entering into food chain. Okay, so scavengers. You can see this. These are the people who are also a decomposer only. They will feed on dead matters. They will feed on dead matters, the caresses, especially the dead flesh which they are finding. But they will eat in a larger amount. You know, the detritus also will eat dead organic matter only. Scavengers also will eat dead organic matter. But unlike the detritivores, these people will feed in a larger manner, larger amount. Okay, for example, you can add that. Have you seen this coyote? Coyote is an example of scavenger. Coyotes, hyenas. Okay, then vultures, ravens. Okay, ravens, even bears are scavengers. So like this, it goes on. So these are scavengers. Crab, I already told they are detritivores. Some crabs will completely feed lot of dead matter. So crabs and even the sharks sometimes, all these are scavengers. They eat dead matters. Okay, and apart from this, this much is enough related to the terminologies. Now we will enter into the food chain. Okay, so I have made one single diagram. With this, I'll explain for you. See, when you are talking about food chain, first of all, you should know what is food chain. No, what is food chain? Huh? So I'll ask this question to you. So see, let us take a open space. Here we will use. See, what is food chain? Food chain means it's something like how an energy flows in an environment. Like you see, what organism is getting eaten by what? That who eats who? That is called food chain. Okay. So, for example, this food chain itself can be of two type. One is the grazing food chain, and another one is detritus food chain. Okay, detritus. And the grazing food chain can be of two type. One is land, and another is marine. Same way, detritus also can be land and marine. So if it is in land, it occurs in land, then it is land food chain and marine. Okay, that is see, this grazing food chain means what? A food chain starts with producers. Producers will be the first in the first level. Then the level goes on. I'll move to the level so that it will be easy for you to understand. See here, this is something called as level. This is the first trophic level. So we have mentioned as producers. In case of grazing food chain, producers will be in the first trophic level. Then goes primary consumers. Okay, here you can see them now. So this is primary consumers, and then secondary consumers and tertiary consumers. Even we have apex predators, and hereafter, you know, only 4 levels you will be having in a food chain, not the fifth level and all, because there will be no sufficient energy to be transferred from one organism to another. Okay, so all I am going to do in one diagram, I am going to say how energy is going to flow. At the same time, I am going to explain the food chain for you. And in the food chain, I told you grazing food chain. Grazing food chain means, see here, it starts like this. For example, if it is in land, green plants will be the producers. Green plant is taken by a rabbit. Okay, rabbit is taken by fox. Green plants, rabbit, rabbit. Don't see these diagrams. I'm going to explain a food chain for you. So rabbit is taken by, let us consider he is a fox. Okay, is taken by fox. Okay, like this. Rabbit by fox, and fox by lion. If lion is there, we can say lion. Okay, so like this. Now there are 4 levels. First producers. Now a primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer. So it stops here. Okay, and here the lion will be apex predator. If not, there is a tertiary consumer, it's apex predator. For another example, we can give this grass is taken by grasshopper. Grasshopper is taken by frog. Frog is taken by snake. Snake will be taken by hawk. Okay, like this it goes on. These are called food chains. Energy is flowing from one level to the other level. See here. Yes. What happens? This is the trophic levels or energy flow. Here there is a sun. This plants, no, the producers, Producers will make use of the sun to prepare the food. They will take energy from the sun. Now they have ample of energy in them. So when this energy, this grasses is feed on by other animals, okay, like a grasshopper or a rabbit, what they will do, they will consume this and take the energy. 10% of the energy only will be passed from this level to this level. Only 10% of the energy which is there in the plants is utilized by the primary consumers. Rest all is given out in the form of heat. Okay, heat. Same applies here also. In the secondary consumers also, what they will do, they will take only 10% of the energy stored by primary consumers. Rest everything will go out in the form of heat. Same, it goes till the apex predator. Okay, but you see the decomposers are present in every trophic level. When a plant die, plant will be ingested by, the leaves, the fallen leaves will be taken by earthworms. Okay, they will decompose it, then they will give out the nutrients back to the soil. Same way, the dead and decay organic matter of every level will be acted on by decomposers, and the nutrients are released back into the soil, okay, to be utilized by the plants. So this way there is cycle process which is happening, okay, through the form of food chain and food web. And normally when an organism dies and it is decomposed by the decomposers, that's why decomposers are very important. They are present in every trophic level. Okay, now we will go to the, and I have already explained for you. This you should remember. This is a 10% rule which applies for every organisms. Then comes another term called food web. Okay, so what they ask in UPSC, here you cannot learn this as a topic or a subject separately. Okay, you always club it with the biodiversity. Then only you can easily remember the food chain. They will ask you to arrange the food chain. These types of, if you take a old question paper, they will be asking questions like this. Arrange the food chain in the proper sequence. So for that, you should know about the biodiversity, which I told, the 5 kingdoms. Okay, you should know what are those kingdoms, what are the animals which are present in each kingdom, what are the plants which is present, like that you have to know. So then it will be easy for you to arrange the sequence of food chain. These types of questions come here. And then food web. So far no question has come, but you should know what is food web. Lot of interconnected food chains is called a food web. Okay, a lot of interconnected food chains. For example, you take this itself, grasses is taken by grasshopper also, grasses is taken by rabbit also. If it is dead, it is taken by earthworm also. This way it continues, and this grasshopper is taken by frog. Okay, then if there is a hen, if there is something like this, the grasshopper will be taken by hen also. Earthworm is taken by hen. Okay, again you take this rabbit, rabbit is taken by fox, frog is taken by snake, hen is taken by fox. Like this, it continues. No, there is lot of interconnected, a web like pattern which appears. This is called food web. Okay, so then we'll go to the next topic. See this cycle, nutrient cycle is another important topic which you should know. In that, all nutrient cycles is not equally important. 4 cycles only I am going to discuss here. First is carbon cycle. Okay, how question comes, that I will tell you, and I will give details related to that. See, first, this is carbon cycle. Carbon dioxide is present in the atmosphere. So here atmosphere phase, the air phase dominates in the carbon cycle than the land phase. Okay, because carbon is taken from the atmosphere only, and it is given back to the atmospheres. So whenever a question is coming related to carbon cycle, they are asking about sources for the carbon cycle. So what you do, when I am discussing, you make a table, okay, tabular column for easy revision. You put 4, mainly 3 cycles only we are going to discuss today. Carbon cycle, and then we will be discussing about nitrogen cycle and sulfur cycle. In the tabular column, you are going to write the sources, how carbon is given out into the atmosphere, sources of carbon. Okay, for that, first one is by plants. Plants give out carbon dioxide. You may wonder how it is, because plants take in carbon dioxide to prepare their food. How plants will give out carbon dioxide? Yes, plants gives out carbon dioxide when they are breaking down the starch for energy. What they will do, they will give out carbon dioxide. How they are taking in carbon dioxide to prepare the food? When the food is prepared and they require energy, they will break down the food. When they are breaking down in the process, carbon dioxide is released out by plants. Okay, this is one form, one way that through plant we call this as plant respiration. Okay, not only animals respire, plants also respire. Okay, you can keep like that. Second, so this is plant respiration. Huh? So in the figure also you can see note here, plant respiration gives out carbon dioxide. Second, by animals respiration. Animals means it includes us also. Humans also know. Animals respiration, this gives out carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So here in the figure you can note this animal respirations. Okay. Then third, I can say decay of or dead matter. Dead matter, no. So dead animals, when it is decaying, it will give out carbon dioxide. Okay, so here you can see dead organisms and waste products and all. It is giving out carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Fourth, I can say that fire is a major factor for carbon dioxide, that when the forest and all is getting into fire, no, so what happens, carbon dioxide, because forests are important stocks of carbon, it is important in carbon sequestration for trapping carbon. So when this forest gets burnt out, fire, carbon dioxide is released out. So this way, this is also a source. Fifth, can say that anthropogenic causes. Anthropogenic causes. Here comes everything. What are the causes? The first one, you can say deforestation. Okay, deforestation. Then second, you can say land use, unsustainable land use, agriculture activity, cutting down forest, no, for agriculture. Then you can say industrial activity, burning of fossil fuel, no, industrial activity, burning of fossil fuels. If you want, you can write burning of fossil fuels itself. Okay, burning of fossil fuel. Then even vehicular emissions. So this way, if you go and see your old question paper, often you will find these types of question only. What are the sources of carbon dioxide? So sixth one, along with this, I'll write in different color for you. Sixth one, you can say the volcanic eruptions are also a source. Volcanic eruptions. Some are not noted here, so that I have added here, okay, volcanic eruptions. So all this gives out carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So what happens then when the carbon dioxide enters into the atmosphere? Again, it is trapped by plants for preparing the food. Okay, again it is used or stored in the oceans as a carbon stocks. This way the carbon is taken back. Okay, so this is the way that carbon circulates inside the in the atmosphere. So this is first cycle, carbon cycle. Then comes to the next one, nitrogen cycle. As you can see here, nitrogen cannot be taken up by plants directly. I already told you, I explained for you. So nitrogen, this itself is asked as a question one time in UPSC. So nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen cannot be taken directly by plants. We call them as N. Okay, so this nitrogen, what happens, will be has to be, see this diagram I am drawing for you. This atmospheric, let us put atmospheric nitrogen, okay, N2. This nitrogen will be has to come to soil to be used by plants. It has to reach the soil. How it is reaching the soil? By the action of some bacteria which will absorb the atmospheric nitrogen. That only the bacteria like rhizobium we have discussed, no, in the interaction session. Same way the bacteria like frankia, do you remember in the interaction session we discussed, they and all will help. They will absorb the atmospheric nitrogen. They will fix it for the plants in the form of nitrates only. How the higher plants will take nitrogen in the form of nitrates only, or sometimes very rarely in the form of ammonia. Okay, but it always takes in the form of nitrates, not nitrates. Okay, so here the bacteria are sometimes due to lightning also, this is fixed, lightning. Okay, or due to industrial processes, the atmospheric nitrogen reaches soil. So what happens here? Again, there are a lot of process which will take place in the nitrogen cycle. So, you know, here the process like ammonification, this and all you would have learned, ammonification, nitrification. These are the three important process. There are a lot of process: nitrification, denitrification. So through which the nitrate or the ammonium, first of all, in ammonification, the ammonium is converted into nitrate, okay, in the form of nitrate, Trite. This by some bacterias, nitrosomonas will help in converting the ammonium into nitrate. The nitrate is again converted to nitrate. I already told plants will take nitrate only. Who converts it into nitrate? Again another bacteria, nitrobacter. Come to denitrification. What happens in this process? The nitrogen which is used by plants will be again turned up into atmospheric nitrogen, and it will released into the atmosphere. So there comes another bacteria like pseudomonas. These bacteria and all will help in, again this is a bacteria only, releasing back the atmospheric nitrogen. Also other sources will be vehicular emission. Atmosphere, no, how nitrogen getting added? Vehicular emissions. Okay, then industries burning fossil fuels. Burning, so the sources are important, students, please note that. Burning fossil fuels. Then comes dead matter, dead organic matter, no, dead matter. When it is decaying, the microorganisms will decay the dead matter and it release the nitrogen into the soil. Okay, so these are some of the sources through which the nitrogen gets added up in the soil, back to the soil or back to the atmosphere. Okay, and even agricultural runoff, you can also add that. Agricultural runoff, this is the main source for adding nitrogen into the soil. Okay, this agricultural runoff is also one other major source. And you can see this diagram now, it will be easily understandable. See this, the atmospheric nitrogen, okay, it is absorbed by ocean. How it goes into ocean? Again in the form of bacteria only, or sometimes it by acid rain. Acid rain also brings nitrogen back to ocean. So ocean, it is used in various inside ocean, the nitrogen is, okay, then it circulates inside ocean. Come to the land. In land you can see that here the agricultural activities adding nitrogen back to the soil, and again you can see the greenhouse gases, okay, vehicular emissions, burning of fossil fuel. Through that nitrogen reaches the atmosphere. From the atmosphere it comes back with the help of lightning, bacteria or industrial activity, it is fixed. Okay, so this way nitrogen circulates. And now comes the last cycle, that is sulfur cycle. Okay, for sulfur cycle only sources you can write. I'll find a space. Okay, here there is ample space. See sulfur cycle. What and all you have to know in sulfur cycle. Sulfur cycle, there are two phases. One is atmospheric phase. Another one is land phase. In land phase, in the form of rocks. Okay, in the form of rocks, the sulfur is present in the rocks. When the rocks are weathered, the sulfur will reach to the place. No, for the plants. Plants will take the sulfur and with the help of bacteria, sulfur fixing bacteria, plants will take the sulfur, and sulfur is again present in the atmosphere also. Okay, not only in the soil but in the atmospheric phases also. Again the bacteria will help in fixing the sulfur. So what are the sources of sulfur? That only, how sulfur enters into the atmospheres. That first important source is volcanic activity. Volcanic eruptions, no, this will give out sulfurs. Volcanic eruptions. Second, weathering. Okay, weathering is another important. I already told sulfur is present in rocks as minerals. So due to weathering activity, it will reach. Third, you can say decay of dead matter. Decay of dead. Okay, fourth, evaporation of seawater. Sea. Okay, then fifth, sea sprays. Sea sprays. What are sea spray? When you go near sea, some aerosols will get ejected from the sea. Along with the aerosols, you will also get mineral salts like sulfur outside. Okay, so through this also you will get sulfur. And another important source you see, DMS. One time UPSC asked this itself as a question, separate question. This is dimethyl sulfide. We call this as dimethyl sulfide. Okay, in this form also sulfur is given out. How the marine organisms will produce DMS. When they are respiring, they will produce DMS. So this DMS is produced from the marine environment only. They are very important source for cloud formation. Okay, source for cloud formation. Go and refer your old question paper. You will find this word. Okay, cloud formation. So this is very important. Ocean acidification is reducing DMS. Yes, thus the marine organisms are keep on reducing due to acidification of ocean. When ocean acidification increases, many organisms cannot survive in acidic ocean water. So what happens? They will die. And this DMS is reduced. When DMS is reduced, it is also reducing the weather, the cloud formation, precipitation getting reduced. Okay, in this way, there was one point in your exams. So DMS you can mention. Seventh, anthropogenic activity. Again, anthropogenic. So what are that? Industrial emissions. Through industrial emissions, sulfur is given out, and vehicular emissions. Okay, so this way only you have to study or read your cycles. Okay, the nutrient cycles. Again, there is another one more small cycle called as phosphorus cycle. Mostly phosphorus cycles is land oriented cycle only. Phosphorus is present in rocks. So when the rocks are weathered, this phosphorus reaches to plants. Plants take phosphorus. And when plants die, this way only. See, rocks I am talking about phosphorus cycle. So in the rocks, phosphorus is present and it reaches the plants. When plants die, again, this phosphorus will reach the soil which is taken by plants and it circulates in this manner. Okay, organic, it becomes organic phosphate. Okay, then it is again circulating in the cycle. This way phosphorus is also keep on going. So that's why in phosphorus much question sources and all will not be there, but in sulfur cycle, nitrogen cycle and carbon cycle, only from the sources you will receive the question. They will not ask you to draw the cycles. Draw the cycle, draw sulfur cycle, nitrogen. In this way, they are not going to ask questions. In prelims, these types of questions predominate. Next topic we are going to discuss is about adaptation. Okay, so everything got over. The basic concepts we have discussed so far. Before adaptation, let us discuss a small topic called succession. Then we will go to adaptation. Okay. See, succession means what? What is succession? Ecological succession. This is another topic from where questions nowadays, for the past 5 years, you can see a lot of questions are appearing in this topic. Previously, very long back, they asked the question. Nowadays, they are giving importance to succession also because the climate change is affecting the succession in various places. So, succession means what? Somebody is going to succeed someone. That is called succession. So same way, how one person, father, first grandfather, then son, then the son gives birth to another son, successors. No, it is happening. Same way in ecosystem also, one ecosystem will be replaced by another community. The community which is present in an ecosystem will be replaced by another community. That community will be replaced or aggregated. They will join together and live in the same place. That is called succession. So ecosystem is always dynamic and it keeps on changing. So that is how ecological succession takes place. So when you're talking about succession, there are two types of succession which you will come across. One is primary, which I will be discussing now, and one is secondary. Before going into that types, you should know what are called as pioneer species. There are certain terms which you have to know. Pioneer species. Okay. Second, climax community. Climax community. Third, keystone species. Keystone species. Fourth, flagship species. Flagship species. Fifth, Cinderella species. Cinderella species. Then you can also add umbrella species. Cinderella, umbrella. Remember like this, Cinderella with umbrella. So species. These are some types of species which we can see. See in this, pioneer species means the species which are appearing or colonizing the ecosystem for the first time. They are called as pioneer species. Okay. If there is a particular ecosystem, who is going to go and occupy first? Who is going to eat first? That way we will run on the queue and all. That is pioneer species who is going to occupy that ecosystem. Climax means one who is going to be the last, one who is going to replace everyone and who is going to remain stable with the equilibrium. They are called climax community. Then what is keystone species? Keystone species means they are called, they are important. What is key? Key means very important for opening. Keystone species, they are very important for that ecosystem. They decide that ecosystem. If this species is gone, then that ecosystem will not remain stable. Okay, so these are very important for the stability of the ecosystem. So we call them as keystone species. After going into succession, I'll be giving examples for each and everything, then only you will understand. So flagship species, same way, flagship species means what? Flagship species means they are very gigantic, huh? Like, and they are cute, they will be always adorable, and they always attract the attention of people. Like for example, you can take pandas, you can take elephants, gigantic tigers. They are very adorable. No, you cannot go and hug them, but you like them. No. So these are called as flagship species. So they act as an icon or a symbol of an ecosystem. If you take Sundarbans, tiger are lovely species who are called flagship species of Sundarbans. So when people, and people also love them, instead of loving a spider, instead of loving a tortoise, they go and they want to see tiger. No, so they are very lovable creatures. So mesmerizing, and what they do, this flagship species will attract investment for their protection. In this way they are useful, they will attract investment for their protection, and through that investment they are able to protect the entire ecosystem also. If you are investing, if companies are investing money for protecting tiger in the name of project tiger, with that they are also going to save the Sundarban ecosystem itself. Okay, so this is called flagship species. Sometimes a keystone species can be a flagship species also, but not all keystone species are flagship species, because a keystone species means it can be of anything starting from fungi to a plant or animal can be a keystone species. But here only the big animals are considered as flagship species. Okay, gigantic animals. Then you come to Cinderella species. What is Cinderella species? Cinderella species also, they are very big. They are threatened. They are highly threatened. Sometimes critically endangered, sometimes endangered, but they always remain invisible to the people. We don't know about them. Okay, we know only about few animals like rhinoceros. We know about tigers. We know about elephants. We know about pandas. We know about polar bears, snow leopards, but we doesn't know about African wild ass. He is also beautiful, but we don't know. So Cinderella is a tale. It's a folk tale where invisible girl turns to a Cinderella overnight. Same way, these species which are remaining invisible to the eyes of people are made to known to people. That is called Cinderella species. Okay, around 180 species plus species are considered as Cinderella species. Same way, umbrella species. Cinderella is there, no, and same way there is umbrella. Umbrella means what happens when you are trying to protect this species, the coexisting species is also protected along with that species. For example, if you want to protect lion, then its prey, you take cheetah. Now cheetah is taken into India, it's brought into India. When you are trying to protect cheetah, why they selected Kuno Palpur National Park? First of all, they told the prey is in abundance for cheetahs. Cheetahs will hunt and eat tigers, boars. They also should be protected along with the cheetah in order to maintain a cheetah. Okay, so that is called as umbrella species, right? So this way there are different types of species. Now you come into succession. So we will go into succession. See, I told succession main important types are primary succession and secondary succession. In here, when you go to primary succession, you can see this. Three important characters are there for primary succession. One, in the primary succession, it starts from primitive substratum. Primary succession will always start from primitive substratum. What is substratum? Substratum means the base, soil, we can say. Primitive substratum means there is no soil at all. There is no minerals. It is a bare rock which is present. Even a retreating glacier is making a land known to the people for first time. Newly formed pond. There is a depression, water gets collected. Now there is only water and land. Okay, so these are called primitive substratums. And that is why here the succession takes place very slowly, very, very slowly. It takes a lot of time and effort to reach the climax community. I already told climax community is the final community which is stable with the or remain equilibrium with the environment. So they do not change immediately over time and space, right? And another important thing here is pioneer species. Here, who will be the pioneer species? I already told pioneer species means the one who colonize the area first. If there is no soil, who are the people who will come and colonize? Epiphyte kind of plant will colonize. Do you understand now? Epiphytes is an important topic, I told you there. Epiphyte kind of plants, for example, especially the lichens. You take lichens and mosses will be present for the first time. They will come first. Lichens will come, they will act, they will form a biofilm. Have you seen the 2022 question paper? From biofilm, science and technology, and from environment, both connected, they asked the question of biofilm. Nowadays they are doing research like that only. No, they are seeing, observing an organism, they are observing an animal, they are observing a plant. From that they are taking some basic idea, and then they are developing new technologies. So biofilms nowadays, where and all it is useful, that way question has come for you. So what they do, this bare rock is there, no, the lichens will go and sit, they will form a biofilm, they will secrete some enzymes. Okay, then what they will do, they will weather the rocks, and there they form the soil. Now there is soil, there is nutrients, then the other plant starts growing. So along with lichens, then mosses will appear. Then comes the annuals, the perennials, the shrubs, the herbs, then trees. Okay, and then comes the final climax community, a forest community. Okay, so it can be any type of forest, but forest is the climax community. Come to the secondary succession. So this is primary succession. So what is secondary succession? You see, the secondary succession, for example, there is a forest, already there is a forest, but now fire has happened. So I already told fire will burn out everything. Now there is barren land, but there is soil. You know, in the primary succession, there is no soil at all. But secondary succession, you see, the conditions are like this. The first one, there is already built up substratum. We call this as built up substratum. That means that there is soil, there is minerals, there is nutrients. Okay. Then second is, this takes in a faster manner comparative to the primary succession. Fastly it will reach climax community. Third important thing here, the pioneer species. Who can be a pioneer species? There we told especially the epiphyte type of species will be a pioneer species. But here it doesn't mean that lichens and mosses will not appear. Here they also will appear, but along with them, you know, all these can be a pioneer community. Lichens, mosses, okay, ferns. So far they have not asked about pioneer community. Anytime they make the question can come. So be careful in this. Ferns, okay, and some grasses, some weeds, fireweed like this will appear, fireweeds. Then the trees also will appear sometimes immediately, like alders, willows. Okay, all these can be a pioneer species, right? Depending on the places. Suppose if it is a land, this can be a pioneer species. If it is a water body, who can be a pioneer species? Algae. Phytoplanktons will be the pioneer. Especially algae are the first one to appear there. Then other phytoplanktons, diatoms, dinoflagellate will come. Okay, then if you take a desert, in desert, no, much microorganisms will not be found, but bacteria is found everywhere. So bacteria is there. This way you have to be careful while reading your pioneer species. These are important here. And I told that keystone species, rest of the species I have explained for you, but you come to keystone species. What are keystone species? See, for example, I told this is very much essential to maintain an ecosystem. No, without that, the ecosystem will be gone. For example, you take, like example, we can take beaver. Beaver is a keystone species only. Okay, for what they do, they are called as keystone, engineers. They are called as engineers. Engineers. Okay, so what they will do, they will try to remove the dead logs, wood, no, from the forest. What they will do, they will take the wood, they will try to construct dams. That is why they are called as ecosystem engineers. and I'm mentioning here as keystone engineers. So what they will do, they will put that across the water channels and they will create wetlands. So that wetlands itself is depending on beaver only. Same way you take, you know, savanna's grassland, savanna. Here, it's a African grassland. No, last before year, this was asked in the question. So, what are the factors which maintain savanna grassland as a grassland? That was a question for you. So, in the savanna grassland, along with the grasses, you will find trees coming there. So, the elephant is act as a keystone species here. The African elephant, no, what they will do, they will break the trees, they will eat it, consume it. If they are not breaking the trees and eating it, what happens? It will become a woodland. Then later it will turn to a forest. So they are called as keystone species. Okay, same way you take coral. They are called as keystone host. You take a coral, what they will do without coral reef, which is called as a rainforest of the ocean. Lot of marine organisms will not survive here. So they are called as, keystone host. They are called as keystone hosts. Same, you take a hummingbird which drinks, nectar from plants. It goes and, pollinate various kinds of plants. A wasp which pollinates a fig. So all these are keystone mutualist. They, without them, that entire plants will die because the fig tree has always a connection with a wasp, a specific wasp. There are n number of wasp to pollinate the fig. Okay, if this wasp dies, the fig will also die along with it. So like this, we have different varieties of keystone species in various environments. So keystone species are another important term which you have to know in case of succession. Otherwise, in succession, what kind of questions will appear? The analyzation types of questions only is going to appear for you. They will be asking why this grassland. Grassland means it has to convert to final community as forest. Why grassland is not converting to a forest? What are the reasons? Then this you will be again studying under grasslands, which we are going to discuss in our further classes. No, the conditions for a grassland, climatic conditions for grassland, climatic conditions for desert, climatic conditions for forest. There you will be learning again. So I am not going to repeat here in the succession. Now we'll go to the next topic. You can see here, that is adaptations. Okay, what are called adaptation? So this is another important basic topic in environment which you have to know. So what is adaptation? Anyone? So see, adaptation means it's a biological phenomena. Okay, a biological phenomena which an phenomena which a organism undertakes. Okay, which organisms undertake during adverse condition. During adverse conditions. This is very important. So when there is emergency, when there is threat, what happens? The organisms will adapt. Either they will adapt morphologically. Morphologically means changing the skin color, changing their physical appearances. Morphologically they will adapt. Or physiologically, metabolic process, adaptation in metabolic process, physiologically, or behaviorally. So what they will do, they will undergo hibernation, estivation, migration. All these are a form of adaptation only. So adaptation is something where an organism is undergoing a biological phenomena in order to meet an emergency situation. That is called adaptation. Okay, this is simple. So in the adaptation, if the question nowadays for the past 7 to 8 years, you can find a lot of questions on adaptations. In the adaptations, I'm not going to discuss about every adaptation mechanisms. I'm going to talk about the plant adaptation. Okay, in the plant adaptation, I'm first going to discuss about the halophytes. Very important topic only I'm going to discuss. Halophytes means adaptation shown by the plants which live in saline soils. When you take, there is a brackish water. Okay, where brackish water means it is not fresh, it is not salt also, mixture of both. So when a plant is living in that kind of environment, already the soil is waterlogged. Soil is waterlogged and there is a lot of salts present in the soil. So a plant has to survive this condition. What are the adaptation mechanisms they will undertake? The question has not come from halophytes so far. Only xerophytes they have asked twice or thrice. So be careful while you're reading halophyte. See, I have put up a figure for you. First, in the root. How the roots of this plant will be? The roots will be, a special types of roots will come out called as nematophores. Okay, or breathing roots. We call them as breathing roots or nematophores. Okay, breathing roots. What? There are two types of breathing roots. One is prop root and another one is tilt root. This is prop root. One is prop root. Another is tilt roots. These are both are called as nematophores. The root, see this. This is the every plant. No, every plant has a main trunk. Below the main trunk there will be a root. But what happens? You can see this. No, this big structures. It's not a stem. It's a root. It is coming out from the branches of the trees. Okay, this is called prop root. Okay, so this is called prop root. What happens here, and in this case no water, but mostly these plants will be living in a watery area only. For that only these plants are there. What they will do, in since the root cannot go and take the nutrients or air from the waterlogged soil, so they will send these roots from the branches, which will be wide apart from the main trunk. So this root will give support to the plant, extra support in the water. Plus, these roots will have air pockets. So from the atmosphere, since the water will be this level only, so here there is air spaces in the roots. So the roots will absorb atmospheric air, okay, moisture and nutrients from the atmosphere, and then it will supply to the plant. So this way, the prop root is helpful to the plant. Second kind of root is the stilt root. Okay, so same only stilt root also in the same manner only you have to see this stilt root. This is stilt root. Okay, so what happens? This does not come from the branches of tree. It comes from the basal node. Basal node, no. From the stem, there will be a node. If you take, you can see section you will see, no, that is one section is one node. So from the node there comes a root. Okay, these are roots. Okay, what happens? This gives support to the plant, extra support, and it also traps sediments in the waterlogged soil, sediments along with pollutants, and it also absorb moisture from the atmosphere. So these are some of the adaptation you can see in the halophytes from atmosphere. Because of air pockets, they will absorb. Since they are waterlogged, they cannot absorb entire moisture. So these are some of the adaptations seen in roots. Same way, you see the stem of the halophytes, how it will be succulent in nature. Okay, the halophytes also have succulent stem. You can see this. See, succulent means in this way, bulgy, no, fleshy manner. Here you can see, no, this part. This is a bulgy stem. It's also found in xerophytes, but halophytes also has succulent stems. Okay, some of the halophytes, not all halophytes, some halophytes will have this. Then leaves, if you see, the leaves will be always glossy. Why it is glossy? And it is thick to reduce transpiration. To reduce transpiration, they are like this. Okay, so these are some of the adaptations which are found in halophytes. Same way, you see this, this is xerophyte. Okay, next, we are going to see only two types of plant adaptation along with insectivorous plant additionally. See this, xerophytes. What are the adaptations shown in xerophytes? Xerophytes, the roots, if you take, the roots are very deep and extensive, well developed. They are well developed, they are extensive, they are having extensive root. Why? Because they have to go in search of water in the desert. So it is well developed and it is extensive in nature. Okay, xerophytes has that type of root system. Then comes the stem. How the stem will be of xerophytes if you take. The stem are succulent, that is fleshy, bulbous in nature. So the stem are succulent. Okay, they are bulbous and fleshy like this. You can see this is stem. Okay, or the stem sometimes is having modified, uh, you know, modified thorns. Thorns are present. What reason it is present here? Huh? So same again, to reduce transpiration. You know what is transpiration? No, transpiration means the water should not get evaporated from the plant. For that purpose, okay, to avoid that, so they are having modified thorns in the stems. Instead of leaves, the leaves get reduced to thorns. Then sometimes hairs are present. Some plants will have hairy stems. Hairy stems is present. Okay, stems will be having hair, right? Hairy natures. Then to root, sorry, leaves. See, these are the stems with thorns, and the leaves are reduced to thorns. Okay, so now leaves. What are the adaptation which can be found in leaves? Leaves will be mostly reduced in stage only in case of xerophytes, either in the form of thorns like this. This is a stem. Okay, this is stem. This is the thorns which is surrounding a stem. You can see small, small thorns. There is no leaves, no. So thorns, or they reduce to spines. Spines. Okay, so this is very sharp. Spines will not be like that. It will be free flowing like this. Okay, I have no image here, but it will be like this. Spines. And sometimes leaves itself will not be there. We call this as aphylous. In some plants, the leaves are succulent. If it is present, it is also succulent. As you can see here in the before plant which I shown you, it's a succulent plant only. See, this is leaf. This is stem. Stem is also succulent. Leaves are also succulent, storing water. Okay, and then the leaves are glossy, leathery, shiny in nature. Okay, they're leathery, shiny. Okay, why they are glossy and leathery? Because to again for transpiration, to prevent evaporation of water. Then I can say wax coating. Waxy or silica coating will be present in the leaves. Silica coating. Okay, all these are some of the adaptation. Sometimes leaves also roll themselves during some peak hot period. When the sun is out, they will roll down so that they will reduce the area for evaporation. So rolling of leaves also can be noticed in some plants. So these are some of the adaptations which are shown in desert plants. So almost 3 times they have repeatedly they have asked. Again, there is possibility for asking this question in UPSC. Then again, after the plant adaptation, you come to the last section in plant adaptation. These are called as insectivorous plants. Very often questions comes in UPSC by asking, starting from 2008 itself. Again, now they are repeating, no, from the 2000s, the questions gets repeated again. So what they do, they will ask the examples for insectivorous plants especially, or the description about insectivorous plants will be there. So these are called insectivorous plant or carnivorous plants. Okay, they are otherwise called as carnivorous plant. That means they feed on insects. Why they are called as carnivorous or insectivorous plant? And the main reason is that they live in nitrogen deficient soil. Okay, so they live in nitrogen deficient soil, but they live in places where there is lot of dampy or moisture is high. Only problem is that they don't get sufficient nutrients, especially the nitrogen is there less. So what they do, they will modify. This is a kind of adaptation they should go into. So they will modify their leaves. You can see here, the leaves will get modified into a trap. Leaves will be modified to trap. We are setting trap now to catch animals. Same way, the leaves will modify like a trap. It can be of any form of trap. Okay, and then when the insects comes near them, so mostly in the leaves which is modified, you can see here this is a example of pitcher plant. This is example for modified leaf. This is pitcher which you are seeing here. No, this is pitcher. So this is pitcher plant and this is pitcher. And what happens in here, there will be a secretion of liquid in this. When an insect come and sit here, what happens? They will stick here. Okay, insects wings and all will stick. After that it will go slide inside its body, inside this organ, and here there will be secretive enzymes, digestive enzymes, like how in our stomach we have enzymes, no, same way they will have digestive enzyme, and then the insect will be digested inside, and they will use the nitrogen, the plant will use the nitrogen from the insects. So there are different kinds of carnivorous plants like this. For example, first thing is pitcher plant. You have seen the pitcher plant. Then Venus fly traps plants we can say. So where the leaf will be modified in this format. Here there will be liquids, sticky liquid. And the insects comes and stick, it will stick there and the insects get digested. Same way this is, you can see here is snap trap plant. It's a snap trap. Okay, so they what they will do here again, the leaves, every plant whatever type traps they do have, that doesn't matter, the leaves only get modified. You should be very careful in that. Sometimes they will say the stems get modified or flowers get modified. No, only leaves will get modified in this case. So here in the snap trap, the leaves is modified in the form of trap. It will open like this, as you can see in the below picture. When the insects come, here there is a sticky liquid. The insect will stick and get closed. Okay, then it gets digested there. These are some examples you have to learn. Then even lobster pot plant is another example. So be careful while you are doing the carnivorous plant. Lobster pot plant is also a carnivorous plant only. Okay, so like this we have enormous carnivorous plant. In India, one and only this plant is present. India is also having a carnivorous plant. Only the pitcher plant, Cassiana nepenthes, that is in the Meghalaya, Khasi Hills. You will find this pitcher plant which is there, carnivore. If you want to see them in the natural environment, you can go to Khasi Hills. Okay. Right. Now we will move to the next kind of adaptation which is seen in animals. Adaptation which are seen in animals. What kind of adaptation can be seen in animals? Especially the animals of desert only we are going to give importance. Zero coals. We call them as zero coals, which is living in desert. While they are living in desert, they should have a special kind of adaptation mechanisms. Like the eggs of some insects will lie dormant for many years, dormant. Okay, then they will hatch. Like crickets, you take grasshoppers, which is living in deserts. They will lay eggs. They are dormant for a longer period. Then once there is a suitable situation, when there is rain, then it will hatch and come out. Okay. Second, they are always nocturnal, mostly nocturnal in habit. Even the desert plants will bloom at night, okay, and the insects will come out at night for pollination, and small animals will, rodents will come out at night time, okay, so they are nocturnal in habit. Third, you can see that they have mostly long ears. If you have noticed, you will find they will have long ears. The main reason of this, for example, the jackrabbit you can take. Jackrabbit is one such example for that. The rabbit with bigger ears. So usually rabbit has big ears, but this has extraordinarily big ears. The reason is to circulate the heat in order to regulate the body temperatures. So they have longer ears, and some animals used to have uh, you know fat stored in their body in the form of hump. You all know who is he? Camels. Anna. In the same, like how this ears is helping them to regulate heat flow, the fat which is stored in the hump will help in regulating the heat flow. Okay, then they also store a lot of water in the intestine. That type of adaptation mechanisms also is there. Extra water is stored in the intestines. And another adaptation you can see in some kind of animals like oryx. Oryx is an antelope which is seen in a desert. What they do, they will feed on succulents, succulent plant. Succulent is having a lot of water in them. Again, they will always not drink water. They will use metabolic water from their body. Metabolic water they will use. So these way, there are a lot kind of adaptations which are seen in desert animals. So far, they have not asked adaptation mechanisms in desert animals. If question comes next time, definitely it would be from this section. We are expecting in that way. Okay. Other than this, some animals, so whether they are living in land or desert, it doesn't matter. But there is a common adaptation mechanism which is seen in animals. Common adaptation mechanisms. So what are those adaptation mechanisms which are seen in animals? For example, rolling or coiling. Okay, rolling or coiling. What happens sometimes, animals, in order to escape the predators. So suppose they feel there is a threat, they want to escape from the threat. What they will do? They will try to roll or coil, and then they will safeguard all the important vital organs, sorry, not organisms, vital organs inside that ball, like a ball they will turn. So here examples are important, like starting from, see, this is hedgehog. Okay, this is hedgehog, very cute and organism, hedgehog. It will also roll into a ball and it will safeguard itself, hedgehog. This is armadillo. Okay, another example. Same way, you can also add pangolin. Pangolin is not here, but pangolin, like armadillo, it's also a anteater. Okay, it also will roll or coil in order to safeguard itself. Then this is porcupine. Porcupine is another example for animal rolling into. Wood louse. I shown this when I am talking about detritivores. Do you remember an insect? Even children used to play with them. Like they used to touch. It turns like a ball. Then they will throw it down. It will run. Anna, from the hill, it will go down. That is wood louse. So that insect also will coil completely. And these are some examples for that kind of adaptation. Some animals squeak, or they whistle, they scream, Anna, screaming. Very famous. This animal, have you seen? Memes and all will be made with this animal. They call this as marmot screaming, marmots. Marmots used to scream. It's a ground squirrel. So marmot is a big, gigantic ground squirrel. What they used to do when they feel they are threatened, okay, there is some threat, there is somebody is going to hunt them, or some invader is there in their place. What they will do? They try to scream loudly, and they will awaken the other species of them, of the marmot group. Okay, so this type of adaptation is there. Same way squeaking. You can see the squirrels squeak. When they feel they are threatened, they will start squeak. No, so squeaking. Generally, it's the nature of squirrel. And even some animals, what they will do, they will whistle. They will communicate to their group, to the pack, in the form of whistling. Like you take the dole. Dole is a dog, wild dog. They always hunt in pack. They will go in a group. So in order to give signal, they will, if they see a prey, they will start whistle, and the pack will communicate with one another. So these are some way adaptation they have taken in order to hunt in a group. Okay, this is one kind of adaptation we can say. Then if I want to say, I'll add one more thing: webbed feet. See, we'll take an empty space from here. We'll utilize this space. Webbed feet. First of all, animals will have this webbed feet in order to swim in the water. Okay, especially those who are living near wetlands will have this webbed feet. We all know that some birds has webbed feet, like ducks. They will have webbed feet. Okay, and even some animals which are living in the waters, they will have webbed feet, like penguins and all. But karai camel, even this was made as a question in UPSC. Do you remember this? Karai camel is a camel which is living in the near wetland. Near the Gujarat, you will find these kind of camels. What they used to do, they used to swim in the water nearby. They are living near the water bodies. No, they used to swim in the water. They used to feed on mangrove leaves. So mangroves are always found in wetlands. Okay, so that will be waterlogged. So they used to swim in the water, and they have webbed feet for that. So this is the only swimming camel. also in the newspaper and all it came. That's how it was made as a question in UPSC also. So they swim for longer distance in order to feed on mangrove leaves. So these are some examples for adaptation, webbed feet. Then I can also add other examples like polar bear you can take, who hunt there, go inside. Even there is something called as fishing cat, which is living in Sundarbans. They also have webbed feet. In order to catch its prey, they will have webbed feet. Okay. Apart from this, if you want to learn the striped fur, you can add striped fur. Some animals have striped fur in order to camouflage. Camouflage, no? Camouflage. Okay. So they used to camouflage, hide themselves from the prey. The prey, if they are going to hunt, you take a tiger, they have striped fur. So what happens? That it goes and mingles with the trees and the forest. So if it is standing, nobody notices it that there is a tiger. Okay, so that way they camouflage themselves and then they hunt. Same way okapi. Okapi is a animal, is a herbivore. Okay, they also try to hide themselves from the predator. One is going to hunt them. If a lion or a tiger is standing, okapi will graze, but they cannot identify it. It will be it's like a I can say it's a wild zebra. Okay, so it mingles with the trunk of a tree and nobody can identify there is an animal. Okay, so this way, these are some of the adaptation mechanisms. Additionally, you can know with respect to the organism. Some part of the organisms is modified in order to help it run away from a predator or to hunt for the prey or to survive in the environment. Okay, so this way we have completed the adaptation also. Now, what we will do, we will move to the next topic, that is productivity. Okay, ecosystem productivity. So another important topic which you can know is ecosystem productivity. So what is this called as ecosystem productivity? That means every organisms, every starting from plants or even the ecosystem itself you take as a whole, they have to contribute something for the others. This way only it operates. So they have to contribute something for the benefit of other. That is called productivity. And every ecosystem varies with productivity. So so far twice this question has been asked in UPSC. So I have made a diagram for you, which is already done, given by Whittaker. Whittaker is the person who has made this diagram. I have taken and just given for you. You can follow this diagram. So if a question comes that to arrange the following ecosystem in the descending order based on productivity, then you can write, you can study this diagram, then from that you can easily arrange the sequence. Okay, so see here how this productivity works. Starting from here, starting from the base, this is highly productive ecosystem. Highly productive ecosystems are none but attached algae and estuaries. That's something. An attached algae means an algae which is growing on any substrate, any substrate. Okay, it can be a rock, it can be a tree. So algae you will find everywhere. Even in the ocean you can find, in the marine environment you can find algae are floating. Okay, so attached, it is attached and it is growing everywhere, so that it is a high productive ecosystem in the world. Same way you take estuaries. Estuaries where you can find these algae also. Along with that, there are a lot of phytoplanktons which are present in the estuaries, and estuaries is highly productive. Equally, they are highly productive, algae and estuaries. Then comes swamps and marshes. So swampy area. What are swamps? Swamps are nothing but we call them as waterlogged, the area which is always waterlogged. That is called swamp. Waterlogged or filled by water. are saturated by water. Anyway, you can say marshes. Marshes also the same area which is always waterlogged. So, what is the difference between swamps and marshes? Swamps are the area where you can see the trees predominate. It's a marshy area, it's a waterlogged area, but you will find lot number of trees. In marshes, same waterlogged area only, instead of trees, you will find grasslands. Okay, grasses dominate in marshes, trees dominate in swamps. So, including that's why we have given mangroves. Mangroves is a swampy area. It's not a marsh, it's a swampland. Marshes means only grasses are present there. Then comes tropical forest. Okay, this one. Tropical forest, you can see. This is again highly productive. The rainforest. Okay, why? Because you will have diversity of organisms inside the rainforest. Diversity, high, rich in organisms. So they are highly productive. Okay, so what happens? Big gigantic trees are there. Trees will provide foods, fruits, and other small microorganisms which are dependent on them. So the animals will come there. Again, what they will do? They will utilize these fruits, they will eat it, they will throw the seeds down, so pollination starts taking place. Again, pollination also starts taking place, and dispersal of seeds also taking place, and this is always dense in nature, and continuous rainfall you will find in the rainforest. And what happens, starting from microbes to bigger animals are present here in the rainforest, depending on another. Since they are very diverse, they are highly productive in nature also. So I also told you, when a rainforest is removed, when we talked about succession chapters and all. In the succession, under the succession, I told you, when a rainforest is completely removed, it is not easy to bring back a rainforest again. This is the main reason for that. What is the reason? The rainforest is always dense in nature. Okay, and what happens when this due to fire or deforestation is happening? What they will do? They will remove the trees. Now it is very open. So already I told, tropical rainforest will be always present in the tropical areas. So tropical areas means what? There will be lot of rainfall and sunlight. Anna? Rainfall and sunlight will be abundant. So when these trees are removed, what happens? The soil is directly exposed to rainfall and sun. Again, this rainforest soil is rich in microorganisms. Lot of microorganisms will be there present in the soil, because there are a lot of detritus which is falling from the forest, from the trees. We are getting dead leaves and all. So decompose them. The detritus is higher here, and nutrients is always higher in the rainforest. But now, when the trees are removed, the soil is directly exposed to rain, directly exposed to sun. This will kill the microorganisms. This will also leach away the nutrients which is present inside the soil. So now the soil is lacking the nutrients, and therefore it will not give rise to, it will not support the trees, the growth of trees. Okay, since there is lack of nutrients due to leaching away of nutrients due to rainfall and the sunlight. Again, one, this is one condition which is going on, and like a circular phase, like a feedback. What happens when the trees are cut down or when the trees are burnt out? There will be no fruits to be eaten for the animals. Most of the animals are arboreal in character in the rainforest. So when there are no trees, they cannot survive. So what they will do? They will move towards the patch of land where there is tree. So abandoning the previous rainforest. So now they will go there, and there is no dispersal of seeds taking place. There is no pollination taking place. So now there is the land becomes very barren, and this is another reason. That is why the tropical rainforest, if it is removed, it cannot be brought back as a tropical rainforest. In meantime, I already told, when a deforestation or when a fire is happening, mostly the grasses starts encroaching. Previously there will be big gigantic trees, Then and there they will be finding grasses. But now mostly grasses will predominate in that area. Even the nutrients is very less, so it will only support the grasses and small shrubs, small herbs, not big trees. Okay, as you find in tropical rainforest. That is why we are saying tropical rainforest is highly productive comparable to other forest, because there are diversity of organisms which are present inside. Okay, and nutrients is always high, the soil nutrients and all is always high. Come to the temperate forest, then comes the temperate forest. This temperate forest will be always found in the temperate areas. Okay, where there is less rainfall, less sunlight, less temperatures. These are conditions for temperate forest. So they are not very thick dense, the canopy density is not very dense like in the case of tropical forest. So that's why the temperate forest is put after the tropical forest in case of productivity. Okay, same way the species will be lesser comparative to the rainforest, and the animals are also which depend on the plants are also lesser. So there will be lesser transfer of energy among them, and still there will be productivity, but it is lesser comparing to the tropical rainforest. Same way you come to coniferous forest, it's here only the conifer trees, conifers will be found, not variety of trees you can see there. And again they are not very dense. Okay, so here there will be lesser organisms, lesser species, lesser organisms, and coniferous trees will be always found near the temperate, after the temperate zones, near the tundras you will find the coniferous forest. Only near the tundras you will find them. And when you go high ranges in the mountains, when you are walking in the mountain, when you go to the higher ranges, higher places, in the altitude, same way in the latitude, from moving away from tropical region you move towards the tundra. In the latitude you will find tropical rainforest near the tropics, then comes temperate, then come coniferous, like this it goes on. Same way when you go in the mountains, starting from the base to the height, as you move on, what happens, this will be replaced by the coniferous forest as you move higher. So similarly, the diversity also will be very lesser here. The productivity is also less. Okay. Then grasslands. In the grassland, especially the tropical grasslands is put up after the coniferous forest in productivity. Okay. So the tropical grasslands, again, they have variety of organisms, diversity of organisms, but not more than the one which are found in the forest. That's why grasslands comes up after the forest. So especially the savannas, we call them as savannas only, the tropical grasslands. In India also we have tropical grasslands. Diverse of organisms are found and the productivity is higher. Okay. Then comes agricultural or cropland. It's a separate ecosystem. When you're studying ecosystem, you used to study only, you know, the uh, land ecosystems like forest, grasses, grasslands, all these things, and aquatic ecosystem. But the third kind of ecosystem is an agricultural or cropland ecosystem. It's a man-made ecosystem. It's an artificial ecosystem only, which is man-made. But depending on that cropland, there are a lot of organisms which are surviving and which leads to productivity also. So after the tropical grasslands, we are adding agricultural or cropland, and then comes woodland or shrubland, as you can see here. Woodland or shrubland. What is woodland or shrubland? That means, there will be some grasses present here. Then there will be some trees also interspersed with the trees. Okay, and shrubs, small plants you can find. Small plants like this is also present along with it, like bushes, herbs, grasses, all mixed. This is called woodland and shrubland. So after the cropland, you can place the woodland and shrubland in case of productivity. Then only comes the temperate grasslands. You see, temperate grasslands will be here, where there will, I can say that the rainfall is also lesser. So the grasses will be very not, even though grasslands are here, like a savanna grassland, but the diversity of organisms are lesser comparatively. So then comes temperate grasslands, and then comes lakes, streams, all these things, and comes continental shelf after this. What is continental shelf? That the area adjoining the land and the water. So the extension of land into the water is called continental shelf. Simply you can say like that. So this is also highly productive. After lakes and streams comes continental shelf. Then come tundras and alpines, the lost snow clad, complete is covered by snow. So these kind of ecosystems is placed in next in productivity after the continental shelf. Then comes open oceans. Okay, the ocean. Open ocean, you can see open ocean is less productive compared to all these things. And then deserts, shrubs. In desert, you will find scrubs, no. Some deserts completely there will be no vegetation except some cacti are there, but scrubs are present in desert. So desert scrubland is put up in the productivity. Last is desert. Last is desert. See, in productivity, mostly most of the earth is unproductive in nature, or least productive. Why? Almost 70% or 70 to 70 plus percent of land is covered by ocean only, 70% land. And as you know, this ocean, open ocean is least productive in nature. Rest 28% of the earth is containing desert. So you put together, so almost, quarter plus, not quarter plus, almost 80 percentage of the land, we can say. If to consider 80 percentage of the land is least productive in nature, only 20% is highly productive. Not highly productive, is productive in that very very least amount, where the tropical rainforest, the estuaries, algae, swamps, marshes, all these are highly productive in nature. Okay, so this way only you have to, this is very important diagram, this will help you for productivity. You need not do any other diagram other than this. Then the last topic which I want to discuss with you is this. This is marine upwelling and downwelling zones. What is marine upwelling? When you are talking about productivity, you should know what is marine upwelling. So see this diagram. In the marine upwelling, what happens? The lower layer, no, when you go to a ocean, the lower layer will be cold. They are cold compared to the upper surface water. So the lower layer of the water comes up. Okay, it's brought up by the wave action due to rotation of earth. In geography you will study, due to rotation of earth or due to wind action, what happens? The lower layer of the water will come to the surface, will flow to the surface. Now this layer is cold, this will be brought up. When it comes up, what happens? The rest of the area will be warm. Only in the where the upwelling is happening, there will be cold water, and along with the cold water, nutrients are brought. So it will bring nutrients. Okay, yes. So this nutrients, what happens here in this area, it will attract the phytoplanktons. So a lot of phytoplankton starts growing here, and to eat the phytoplanktons, the fishes will come here, the marine animals will come to eat fishes. So this is rich in life, this is rich in productivity. Highly productive region are upwelling zones, highly productive. So that is why you can see lot of fishing grounds and all can be seen in the marine upwelling zones. Okay, they are highly productive in nature because the cold water will bring nutrients along with the coldness, and when it is here, it will increase the life, like phytoplankton starts growing, and to eat the phytoplanktons, fishes and other marine organisms will come, and bigger organisms also will come. So here that is highly productive, and fishing and important fishing grounds will be located in the marine upwelling zones. If there is upwelling, then there will be downwelling too. Okay, so that is called, what is called downwelling. This is downwelling. That means what happens? In this case, the lower surface of water is brought up, okay, along with the nutrients. But in downwelling, the upper layer of the water will sink down. The warmer water will sink down. It will go down. Okay. Again, due to the effect of wind, when the direction of the wind changes, you take some near west coast of USA, that you can find both the upwelling and downwelling. Depending on the direction of wind, it changes. So when the wind direction changes, downwelling happens. So the upper surface layer sinks down. When they sinks down, what happens? The oxygen in the surface water will reach down. So we cannot say downwelling is totally, not beneficial at all. It is also beneficial for some organisms. So what happens? This downwelling will increase the oxygen concentration in the water to be taken up by the marine organisms. So many marine organisms are surviving in this downwelling, based on this downwelling only, because if the downwelling is not happening, there will be no balance of oxygen. There are certain level where there will be no plants to produce oxygen in the water. So only through these downwelling zones that oxygen can be circulated down. Because you all know that in the marine environment also decomposition takes place. Decomposition is taking place, then lot of uh, oxygen will be used up. So they require oxygen. Otherwise, there will be mass killing of organisms. So downwelling is also beneficial in some way. So upwelling and downwelling are both important. Upwelling is highly productive. Downwelling, although it is not active, it is important for maintaining the life. Okay. So this way we have completed some basic concepts of environment from which usually question comes in UPSC. So far what we have done, starting from the energy flow, that is the interaction, how the organisms is interacting with one another. I have started from that. Okay, in that interactions I discussed various types of interactions like positive interactions. I'm going to do it in a faster manner because last 4 minutes I'm doing this revision. So positive interaction, negative and neutral. And in positive interactions you will be finding various kinds of positive interactions like mutualism and proto cooperation. In mutualism we have done with lot of examples. Okay, starting from pollination, you can see that how an animal and a plant interact by exchanging nectar and pollen. Same way, lichens is another example for mutualism, where the fungi and algae. Algae produce food, fungi gives metabolic waste and moisture. If you come to rhizobium, is a bacteria which infect the root of the plant, fix nitrogen for them, the plant produce back food. Okay, so this way the legumes will exchange, and legumes and the bacteria exchanges mutually. Antinorhizal, here plants and again a bacteria called Frankia. Plants like Casuarina will have this bacteria and they will fix nitrogen for the plant. Plant will provide food. Come to mycorrhizae. So this here, the plant and a fungi. So the plant, near the plant roots, a fungi will live and fungi will absorb water and nutrients for them. Plant will provide food for the fungi. So for that we gave a lot of examples also. Then comes zooxanthellae. Zooxanthellae, here you take it's a coral type of organisms called cnidarians. They are coming under phylum Cnidarium under animal. So animal will enter into mutualism with the protist. Protist, a dinoflagellate is a protist. So dinoflagellate live in the body of cnidarian. They prepare food and give food to the cnidarian. Cnidarian will give place to live. Okay, same way protist and an animal, a protozoa living in the intestine of a termite, helping them to digest food. Okay, same way, then other proto cooperation means this simply like that is not mandatory, but still mutual cooperation is taking place. Then important thing which we talked about is commensalism, the lianas. We talked about commensalism. Liana is an example, epiphytes is an example where only they help us for support mechanisms, they use other plants. So then we also talked about the Basicladia algae which is living in the back of turtle, and again here the cattle egret and the cattles, and this sloth bear and the Trichophilus is a algae. Then we came to the next topic, that is food chain and food web. Before going into food chain, food web, we talked what are called as producers, what are carnivores, what are omnivores, what are detrivores. When we gave a lot of examples for them, decomposers and saprophytes and scavengers. And then we talked about the food chain, how energy is flowing from one level to another level, and decomposers are the one which are present in every level. We talked like that. Then we came to the nutrient cycle. In the nutrient cycle, we saw various sources for the 4 types of nutrient cycles: the carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, sulfur cycle, and phosphorus. In that, the carbon, nitrogen, sulfurs are very important. Then we came to a topic called succession. In succession, we discussed about 2 kinds of succession. One is primary succession, another one is secondary succession. And we also talked about different kinds of species. So this way only the questions will be shooted up. Then the last one we talked is adaptation mechanisms taken out by various organisms, especially the halophyte and the xerophytes. How xerophytes are having a lot of adaptation mechanisms. And then we came to carnivorous plants. And then we talked about the desert animals, what kind of adaptations they are showing, zero colds. Like next is rolling and coiling, these types of small adaptation in the body parts of animals we discussed. Then last one we discussed about productivity in that marine upwelling and marine downwelling zones also we have seen. So with this, we are ending this session. Please stay connected for the next session. So you'll get benefit through this. Within 4 classes, we'll be revising the entire environment, which is necessary will be done here. Okay, which is very important for your exams. So thank you all. We'll meet again.